Hello and welcome to Japan Lyric Room. In this program, we explore the lyrics of Japanese songs, delivering clear explanations of their meanings and unique cultural backgrounds.
Please note that while the voices and illustrations in this video are AI-generated, the project itself is run by Japanese creators living in Japan. The script is carefully researched and written by us to provide original explanations.
So, I want you to imagine something for a second. Imagine standing on a really bustling city street.
Okay, right. Lots of noise, lots of people.
Exactly. And you're, pouring your entire soul into a microphone, just singing at the top of your lungs. But absolutely no one is looking your way. Like hundreds of people are walking right past you, completely blanking you out as if you don't even exist.
Wow, yeah. That is a really isolating image.
It really is. And today, we're unpacking a track that was born from that exact feeling of, invisible desperation. We're exploring the lyrics of a song that's become this holy grail for JRock and anime fans worldwide.
Ah, yes. We're talking about Samurai Heart, Some Like It Hot, by the band SPYAIR.
That's the one. And it's such an exceptional choice for our lyric explanation today.
It really is, because before we even get into the first line of music, we kind of have to understand the incredibly heavy, almost miraculous origins of this track.
Right. There's quite a backstory to it.
Yeah. So it was released on June 8, 2011, and it exploded in popularity as the ending theme for the TV anime Gintama.
And just to pause there for a second, I've always wondered about the title itself.
Ooh, Samurai Heart.
Yeah, because Samurai Heart sounds remarkably like the classic English idiom, it hot.
Right.
Was that a deliberate pun or just a happy coincidence?
Oh, no, it was entirely deliberate. A very clever auditory illusion, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. By making the Japanese and English phrases overlap, they immediately signal a blending of worlds. You see, the anime Gintama is really famous for mashing up historical samurai culture with science fiction and modern sensibilities.
Oh, I see. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. So having a title that bridges an English idiom about heat and passion with the traditional samurai heart, well, it perfectly matched the anime's core theme.
Which is what, exactly?
It's all about carrying out your own stubborn beliefs, even if your life is messy and awkward.
That is such a great message. But, I was looking through some of our background research, and it seems like this song almost didn't happen at all.
No, it really almost didn't.
Well, it wasn't actually written for Gintama initially, was it?
It wasn't, and that's where the story gets really, really interesting. The guitarist, Yuji, he originally created the demo just as stock material for the band.
Okay, pretty standard.
Right, but he actually hesitated to share it with his bandmates. He was worried that the melody sounded like too J-pop.
Wait, really? Why would that be a bad thing? I mean, J-pop. He is hugely successful. Was he just being a bit of a music snob?
Well, it wasn't snobbery so much as a kind of crisis of identity.
Oh, how so?
At the time, SPYAIR was strictly a heavy, loud rock band. They really prided themselves on an aggressive, dark sound.
Ah, I get it.
Yeah, so to Yuji, this melody felt, well, too light, too catchy, almost vulnerable.
That makes sense. It didn't fit their brand.
Exactly. But the bassist, Momoken, he heard the potential in it. And when the opportunity for the anime tie-in arose, Momoken collaborated directly with the anime staff.
Oh, wow. That's a big shift.
It was. He set aside his own ego, stripped away his purely introspective rock lyrics, and, adjusted the worldview of the song to fit the universal message of the show.
That's incredible. But even with that collaboration, there's a much darker shadow hanging over the recording of this track, isn't there? I mean, we're talking about the spring of 2011.
Exactly. The recording took place right after the devastating March 2011 earthquake in Japan.
Right. Such a tragic time.
The entire nation was just in a state of shock and mourning. And in that atmosphere, the vocalist at the time, Ike, he fell into a deep crisis of purpose.
I can only imagine.
Yeah. When people are losing everything around you, he agonized over whether making music had any meaning at all.
I can't even fathom that weight. How do you step into a vocal booth and sing a catchy rock anthem when your country is going through an unprecedented tragedy? You must just feel so powerless.
You do. You really do. But Ike ultimately decided that if music felt powerless, the only way to counteract that was to pour an overwhelming amount of raw human energy into the microphone.
Wow.
He decided his only job was to transmit every single ounce of heat he possessed to whoever was listening on the other side. That's why when you listen to the track, his vocals sound almost, well, desperate.
And that desperate heat has undeniably traveled across the globe.
Oh, absolutely.
Just recently, there's been this massive spike in global Spotify plays for SPYAIR, particularly across Latin America and Southeast Asia.
Yes, the resurgence has been amazing.
And a lot of that was triggered after they provided the theme song for the recent anime movie, Haikyuu. Fans of Haikyuu went back into the band's catalog and just rediscovered this legendary track. It really proves that raw emotion doesn't have an expiration date.
It really doesn't. It transcends time. And the lyrics perfectly capture this journey from isolation to connection.
Well, let's look at exactly how they achieve that.
Let's do it.
We're going to explore 7 key phrases from the song in exact chronological order, really taking our time to see how that feeling of desperation is built from the ground up.
Sounds perfect.
Okay, here's the first phrase.
The exact cultural nuance for that is, your mind is somewhere else, and you aren't listening to me at all, are you?
That concept of the mind being somewhere else, how does the Japanese vocabulary capture that specific brand of, like, inattention?
So the lyric uses the word Uwanosora.
Literally, it paints a picture of a mind floating up into the sky. It's this state of total detachment.
Oh, wow.
It's not just someone mishearing you. It's the experience of talking to a physical body while the person's consciousness is miles away.
That is so frustrating.
Right. And when you pair that with Sapari, which acts as a total negation, like absolutely not or not at all, it establishes this chilling baseline for the song.
But, I mean, is that Uwanosora state meant to be malicious? Because in modern city life, you know, with our phones and notifications, I feel like half the people I interact with are floating in the sky. Are they actively ignoring the singer, or are they just victims of modern distraction?
Well, the song kind of suggests the outcome is the same either way.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Whether it's malice or just fatigue, the isolation you feel when trying to speak is profound. Your words are just evaporating, and that triggers a really sharp psychological pivot in the very next line.
Okay, let's read the second phrase.
The cultural nuance here is, it's a terrible misunderstanding. You can't even notice me standing right here.
So it shifts from, you aren't listening to me, to, like, you don't even know I exist.
Exactly. The physical presence is completely erased.
That's so harsh.
It's remarkably cynical. Momokin uses tonda, which is this older colloquial expression meaning something is outrageous or terrible.
Oh, okay.
So by deploying that theatrical word, the singer is actually mocking his own foolishness. He's acknowledging the cognitive dissonance of, you know, standing right in front of someone, taking up physical space, and yet being entirely invisible to them.
It's the ultimate urban paradox. You can be jammed shoulder to shoulder on a rush hour train, surrounded by thousands of people, and feel like an absolute phantom.
Absolutely.
But if physical proximity doesn't cure the isolation, how does the song address our attempts to bridge the gap? Does it talk about how we actually try to communicate?
It dives directly into the mechanics of that failure, actually. The lyrics argue that simply opening your mouth isn't enough, because the structure of how we talk is broken. We see this vividly in the metaphor used next.
Let's look at the third phrase then.
The cultural nuances. A game of conversational catch where the words don't reach and the loneliness only grows.
Conversational catch. That's a very specific visual.
Yeah, Kaiwa no catchball is deeply ingrained in Japanese communication.
Oh, really?
Yeah. A healthy dialogue isn't a tennis match where you try to smash the ball past your opponent. It should be a gentle game of catch.
I like that.
You toss a thought, consider their ability to catch it, they receive it, pause, and gently toss a response back. Requires care.
I understand the metaphor, but, you know, the lyric says the words don't reach, and the loneliness actually grows.
Right.
I have to ask about the psychology there. If someone just drops the ball and the conversation stops, wouldn't your loneliness just stay at its baseline? Why does failing actively make it worse?
Because initiating that game of catch requires vulnerability.
Oh, right.
You're extending a piece of yourself outward. When that offering is ignored or dropped in the dirt, you aren't just left where you started.
You're painfully aware of the gap.
Exactly. You're left with the stinging confirmation of your isolation. The silence after a failed attempt to connect is vastly heavier than the silence of never having tried at all.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like throwing a party and nobody shows up, but you have to keep dancing anyway. The rejection just amplifies the silence.
Perfectly said.
And that unbearable silence forces a desperate reaction, which we hear in phrase 4. And the cultural nuance here is, hey, answer me, is anybody out there?
Hearing Ike sing this line, the vocal delivery is just so raw. It doesn't sound like a polished pop vocal at all. It sounds like a genuine cry for help.
And the rawness is entirely authentic because it stems from a deeply painful memory for the band.
Oh, from when?
From before they were playing arenas. They spent years doing street performances in Nagoya. Ah, the grind.
Yeah, Momokin wrote this line visualizing a specific scene. He'd stand in the back playing bass, watching Ike and Yuji practically tear their vocal cords out, trying to hype up a crowd of commuters on a freezing sidewalk.
Just shouting into the void of rush hour.
Day after day, they would shout, "Hey, hey!" trying to get just one person to stop and acknowledge them, and the commuters would just avert their eyes and keep walking.
That is brutal.
Momokin bottled that specific humiliation. The act of pouring your soul onto the pavement while society collectively decides you're invisible.
I mean, to endure that kind of public rejection daily, that has to fundamentally alter your psyche. At some point, you just have to stop caring to protect yourself.
You do. The human mind can't sustain that level of acute vulnerability indefinitely. So the defense mechanism is apathy. You numb yourself.
Right.
The pain of being ignored morphs into this stifling gray boredom. And the song perfectly encapsulates this descent into monotony.
Let's read phrase 5 then.
The cultural nuance for this is flat, featureless days. Surely today will be exactly the same as yesterday, right?
The word Nopperi is really striking to me. Just the phonetics of it sound kind of dull and flat.
It's a brilliant piece of sound symbolism in Japanese. Nopperi describes a surface completely devoid of features or contours.
Like a blank slate.
Worse, it's famously associated with the Nopporobo, which is this terrifying ghost in Japanese folklore.
Wait, really?
Yeah, it looks like a normal human until it turns around and its face is completely smooth and blank. No eyes, no nose, no mouth.
That is horrifying. But if Nopperi is used to describe a faceless monster, why use it for the passage of time? Like for a Tuesday, is the implication that the city itself has become the monster.
That's a phenomenal interpretation. The monster isn't a ghost in an alleyway. The monster is the suffocating sameness of modern existence.
Wow.
When every day lacks meaningful connection, time loses its features. Monday is indistinguishable from Wednesday. The week becomes a smooth, blank stretch of nothingness.
You can visualize that perfectly. Standing on a gray sidewalk, watching a blur of faceless people in gray suits moving in a gray blur.
Exactly.
But this is exactly where the narrative refuses to surrender. There's a profound shift in perspective. Let's look at phrase 6. The cultural nuance is, stopping in the crowd and looking back, I check the footprints I left behind. Maybe I've walked a little further forward than before.
I've always felt this line acts like a camera movement in a movie.
Oh, how so?
Well, the lens stops looking outward at the endless wave of the crowd, and instead, it tilts straight down to the pavement, focusing entirely on the singer's own scuffed shoes.
I love that visual. That inward shift is the catalyst for the entire song's resolution. It's what we might call SPYAIR, signature philosophy. Clumsy self-affirmation.
Clumsy self-affirmation. I like that phrase.
Right. The singer stops trying to derive validation from the unseen crowd. Instead, they look at the muddy, imperfect footprints they've managed to leave behind. But let me push on that a bit. Is looking down at your own dirty footprints just a form of giving up? Like saying, well, society won't accept me, so I'll just stop trying to connect.
It's the exact opposite of giving up, actually. It's establishing a new internal metric for success.
Okay, I see.
If you measure your progress against the massive standards of the city, you'll always feel inadequate. But by looking at your own footprints, you're acknowledging your own survival.
Maybe I've walked a little further forward than before.
Exactly. It isn't some grandiose declaration of victory. It's a quiet, gritty realization that you are still moving. You haven't been erased.
It's realizing you don't need the crowd's permission to exist, which is incredibly empowering. And that internal strength, that realization that your muddy footprints matter, is what fuels the climax of the song.
It truly gives the singer the courage to draw a line in the sand. Realizing your own path has value protects you from the immense pressure to assimilate, which brings us to the ultimate declaration.
Right, phrase 7.
The cultural nuance here is, I can't throw away my heart just to blend in.
That is the line that stays with you long after the song ends. Let's break down the mechanics of the Japanese use there.
The pivotal verb there is tokikomu.
Tokikomu.
Yes. It translates to blending in, melting into, or assimilating perfectly with your surroundings. In any highly collective society, or just within the impersonal machinery of a modern metropolis, Tokikomu is the path of least resistance.
It's the survival strategy of the chameleon. Keep your head down, read the room, don't speak too loudly. It's vastly easier than fighting the current.
It is easier, but the song exposes the true cost of that comfort. To truly melt into that featureless Nopperi society, you have to carve away the jagged, loud, unpolished parts of your soul.
You literally have to throw away your heart just to fit in.
Exactly. The singer realizes the price of admission to that comfortable numbness is their very heart.
So the samurai heart isn't about being a flawless warrior with a shiny sword. It's about a stubborn, almost foolish refusal to disappear.
The modern samurai spirit, as defined by this track, is the willingness to endure the coldness of isolation, rather than enjoy the warmth of a fake belonging.
Wow.
It's the clumsy, hard-fought decision to stand in your own truth, even if it means nobody stops to play catch with you.
What's truly remarkable is how that hyper-specific, deeply personal revelation has echoed through time. I mean, this song was born from the pain of being ignored on a street corner in Nagoya, forged in the grief of an earthquake, and tied to an anime about a futuristic samurai.
And yet, its reach has only expanded.
Exactly.
The longevity of the track proves the universal nature of its message. Like, a decade after its release, it experienced a massive resurgence in global streaming.
Oh, really? Where?
Particularly across Latin America and Southeast Asia. And it wasn't just nostalgia. A completely new generation of international fans discovered the band through their work on the Haikyuu movie, dug into their catalog, and found Samurai Heart.
That is a beautiful irony. A song that explicitly declares, "I refuse to blend in," ended up effortlessly connecting with millions of people across entirely different languages, cultures, and decades.
It suggests that our deepest, most specific insecurities are actually the things we share most universally.
When you refuse to throw your heart away, you inevitably become a beacon for everyone else trying to protect theirs.
The heat Ike desperately wanted to send beyond the mic back in 2011, it didn't dissipate. It just kept traveling, eventually reaching people on the other side of the planet.
And it reached us today. As we wrap up this lyric explanation, I want to leave you, the listener, with something to carry into your own featureless days. When you are navigating the crowds, scrolling through your feeds, or sitting in a room where nobody seems to be listening, what is your boundary? What is the one core, jagged piece of your identity that you absolutely refuse to surrender, no matter how intense the pressure gets, to just quietly melt into the background? Identify it and hold on to it.
Thank you so much for listening. We feature various Japanese songs and provide detailed explanations on our website. Please check the link in the description to explore more. If you enjoyed this program, please subscribe to our channel and let us know your thoughts or song requests in the comments. See you next time. This was Japan Lyric Room.